We have a number of offices. Our main focus at the moment is Pakistan. People ask, how did you come to Gujranwala and Sialkot? It seems so weird. All the other foreigners go to Lahore, Islamabad, or Karachi. So why are you here? So the reason really is because we were sitting in our Brisbane office and there were several doctors from around this area who approached us and said, can you help bring our little brother here or our cousin or someone else? And Pakistanis are very loyal. And once you help one or two or three, they tell one or two or three people, and before we knew it, about 10% of our students actually came from Pakistan. And then immigration in Australia in 2017 had a change of heart. And they said, if you want to bring students from Pakistan, you can't sit in Australia and decide whether they're a genuine student and whether they've got genuine documents and they have genuine access to funds. How would you know? So if you want to continue to work with Pakistani students, you need to go to Pakistan, you have to set up an office there. And so that's what we did. So we started in December 2017, 2 years ago, and we decided we'd set up in Gujranwala because nearly all the students we knew happened to be from around Gujranwala. And then as we worked in Gujranwala, we had more students coming from Sialkot to visit our office.
And we had the privilege of visiting University of Sialkot earlier this year in January, and we were so impressed, so we thought that we definitely have to open an office in Sialkot. So that's what we've done.
So Friday marks the official opening of our office in the Mall of Sialkot on the 9th floor. And we've already met quite a number of students, and we really look forward to meeting many more. So if you're in the mall and you want to just come up and talk about studying in Australia, you're always very welcome in our office. I'm going to be going home for a little while in December, but look forward to coming back in February, and then I've rented a house in Sialkot, and we look forward, I'll be living here sort of semi-permanently for the next few years, and Anya will be running our office in Brisbane and communicating regularly with us, as well as taking care of those students from Sialkot and Gujranwala who come to Brisbane, making sure that they settle in comfortably and do well.
So this is the lovely team we have in our office in Sialkot. Like Riborg mentioned, I am in the office in Brisbane. So if any of you come to Brisbane or come to Australia and get to travel up to Brisbane if you're studying in Sydney or Melbourne, you'll be able to see me. You're always welcome in our office in Brisbane, and I will support you through the whole duration of your studies and any concerns that you have. So here at Sialkot, we've got the director, Asan, who's just sitting here. We also have business development manager, Moshe, who's here as well. And then our other director, Riborg. So as Riborg mentioned, our office is on level 9 in the Mall of Sialkot, and we are having our office opening on Friday at 4 p.m. for anyone that wants to come along.
To Australia to study and then return to Pakistan or to some other country. So you have to show you've got more things pulling you to leave Australia than pulling you to stay. So immigration, in their wisdom, have come up with a checklist, almost a checklist, of all of these things that they've found over the years will indicate that you're not a genuine temporary entrant. So those things include, if your circumstances in Pakistan are very poor and very difficult, then they say, well, you know, your circumstances in Pakistan are difficult. We think your circumstances in Australia are going to be a lot better, so that makes us a little concerned that you'll probably want to stay. If you've got family or friends who have already come to Australia and have got permanent residency or citizenship, then immigration see that as a negative point as well. Whereas many students think it's a good point that they'll be able to go there and someone will be there to help them and support them and they'll do well in their studies because they won't have to focus on all those other things. But immigration see it as a negative. They say, okay, your relative came to Australia as a student and they've stayed in Australia and we suspect that you're going to do the same thing. So it's interesting, we had a case in Gujranwala recently of a young man who has 3 brothers in Australia. One of them has got his permanent residency, and I think he's actually got citizenship. And the other 2 are studying in Australia. And he's the youngest son, and he's an engineer, fresh engineering graduate. He was refused, his mother is also visiting Australia because one of the sons was sick. So she was visiting Australia, and the father had just been granted a visitor's visa to Australia. So this boy was the last one in the family, in the immediate family, that was actually still in Pakistan. And then suddenly immigration felt nervous that everyone else was in Australia, maybe there was a chance that he would stay there. And very sadly, he was refused a visa through nothing that he'd done himself. He was a perfect student, wonderful IELTS, everything was fabulous about him. But immigration felt that there were too many of his family in Australia and it posed too high a risk. So, genuine temporary entrant, they also look at your visa history. If you've been refused a visa to Australia before, it's even more difficult to get one a second time. So you need to make sure that if you're applying for a visa, you do everything very thoroughly. Do not use fraudulent documents. I know in Pakistan, for some reason, people come into the office and they say to me, can you create some documents for me? I say, why? Why would you want to do that? And then when I hear their story, I find they don't even need to create documents because a good case can be made on the basis of genuine documents. The huge danger with creating fake documents is that if they're discovered, and it's highly likely they'll be discovered because they check everything now. So if they're discovered, you will be banned from Australia for life. Not only that, because Australia is part of the Five Eyes agreement, so we have Australia, Canada, UK, US, and New Zealand, they all share intelligence. So you'll find that if you're banned from Australia, they will share that information with others, and you will never get a visa to any of those 5 countries. Because as soon as you start, you put in your name and your passport number, you'll be locked out. So it's a huge risk, and I really recommend that you look at doing things the correct way, going in a straight line rather than trying to fabricate things, because it's highly dangerous.